Brother, you're the one with the big mouth. And I would really enjoy closing it, especially in front of all my friends. But my hands are registered as lethal weapons. That means we get into a fight, I accidentally kill you. I go to jail.
Anybody accidentally kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter. And I think all that lethal weapon horse shit is just an excuse so you dancers never have to get in a real fight.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros Podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Abraham.
And Nick.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. I'm sweating. I'm melting at my house.
Yeah, dude. It was like 107 today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not looking like it's not going to stop anytime soon either.
Well, I think it's supposed to get a little cooler next week.
The 90s?
Yeah, like it's better than triple digit.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think like towards more 4th of July, it's going to get like 80s.
Okay. Yeah.
So
We cannot
Hopefully,
escape.
that's next Monday.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah, today was it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
It sucked. Especially when I eat my lunch, I eat it in my car.
Oh, you're brave for that.
I just don't like eating in the break room. I don't like being around anybody on my lunch. I want to be by myself. So I'll go eat in my car and I'm just dying.
Yeah.
Just turn on your car and just let it idle.
And that's the thing is
you
like
have to.
That's the thing is I won't.
You won't?
No.
Oh yeah, you're wasting gas.
Yeah, I'm like I don't want to waste my gas.
Okay, so I do the same thing. I go to this really nice park in the shade, but I let it idle.
No, not me.
It's too hot, man. I got like my hot plate in front of me eating my food. I kind of feel like a pig sometimes because I'm sitting there eating and like it'll fall and I'm like,
yeah.
There's people all walking around. But
I feel bad too because afterwards I'm like, Alexa, I got stuff on my shirt.
yeah.
Like, we got to put shout on it.
Yeah. Hey, but it beats staying in your workplace and not getting.
Yeah, I have to get away.
You have to get it's like a mental break.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I stay there all day, man, when I get home, I'm dead.
Yeah, I have to be able to get away from the office or something, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I work 2 minutes away.
Yeah, for real.
Blast,
it's
dude.
nice. But yeah, I mean, other than the heat, it was a good day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Regular work day.
Yeah, it left me after watching this movie just thinking about it all day and just thinking about the craziness that is this movie sometimes.
Yeah, I was actually kind of a little bit sad today because I had read or listened to the actual story of the Manson family because I had no knowledge beforehand, and I was blown away at how violent and how like gruesome it was.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
It's disturbing, man.
For real. I remember being my mom was always really, I mean, she still is. She's into like true crime and always watched ID, that channel.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, man, maybe when I was in like middle school or something, she was watching something about the Sharon Tate murder and the Manson family murders specifically, just that whole string of things that happened. And I remember hearing about the Sharon Tate murder specifically, and I was like scared. Like as a middle schooler, I was like, dude, like these people are obviously all dead now or in jail. And I remember being like, they're going to come get me. Like,
because you listened to it or something?
Yeah. Like I remember thinking the same thing whenever I found out about the Columbine shooting. And, like when I was a kid living in Fresno, I remember hearing about it and then being like, those guys are going to come to get me.
Yeah.
And being terrified. But yeah, it's horrific. And it really marked the end of what's called the love era in California. I mean, that whole era was like, you know, where, I mean, we see it a ton in this movie with all the hippies and, you know, culture is rapidly changing in America. And because of that and, you know, a string of other events that happened when the 70s started to approach, you know, just caused this downward spiral, it felt like, for, you know, America, especially with like Vietnam and assassinations, all that.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
It was a crazy time, man. So thanks for introducing me to all this stuff.
History lesson.
Yeah, it's funny because usually we listen to crime podcasts at my work, but for some reason they're always really local or they're really like obscure and all that
Local?
stuff. Yeah, there's a few that you probably don't even know if we could talk about later, but it's all that stuff. So I was surprised that this eluded me my whole time because I, Crime Junkies and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
I immediately think of like Bailey Sarin.
Yeah, I listen to her quite often.
She, I believe, has an episode on the Sharon Tate murder.
She does. I haven't
Um,
listened to it. I'm on her dark history right now.
Okay,
So it's on Spotify, and that's what I've been
Yeah.
listening to.
I know, man. I blame Alexa. Because,
I blame her.
because
No.
she started.
Oh,
she got,
Bailey-
she
She's the one that got me
the.
the serial killer.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. And doesn't she have that game too? Isn't it like a? I was thinking, doesn't she have the escape room games or something like that?
No, she
She is like
sponsored
sponsored by
by
a
them.
company.
Oh, okay.
And it's like you solve a real cold case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I
she's
saw.
sponsored by them.
Yeah, but she got me hooked on her too, and I'm sitting here listening to a murder mystery and watching this girl do her makeup.
No, literally, because
It's entertaining, man.
Yeah.
it's crazy because I was sitting down, I think I was in the living room, and I was looking at murder mysteries to listen to because I was about to start my laundry.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh wait, let me show you this person." And instantly, she showed me a picture of her, and I said, "Oh, she's the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen in my life." And then she goes, "But wait," and then she started showing me her murder makeup mysteries on Mondays.
Yeah.
Every Monday she posts a murder.
Murder
Yeah.
Make It Mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will if I'm in a certain area of my job, I'll throw on my AirPod because I can't put on my AirPod everywhere,
Yeah.
and I'll just listen to her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's what I do throughout my day.
There you go.
Yeah. You know what? It's strange. I was thinking about this because we had listened to a whole bunch of them, and just the popularity of crime and just
Kinda
listening to crime.
absurd.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it's like
A lot of
believe,
people
I
like
believe
it.
like one of the top podcasts in the world is Crime Junkies.
That's got to be some kind of innate human like curiosity,
Yeah.
just to dive into these people's world and
Yeah.
and try to figure out why they did what they did, or just I think we're all just curiously morbidly curious, right?
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting because almost everyone I talked to has listened to a crime podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I seriously can't believe I missed it. There was a 13-minute video on YouTube I'd listened to. So I have like the most bare bones basic knowledge of Charles Manson and their heinous acts and all that stuff,
Yep.
which the movie doesn't focus too heavily on,
Yeah.
at least
It-
at the beginning.
Yeah. It more or less follows the story of Rick, Cliff, and Sharon.
Yeah.
Which, if you couldn't tell, we are talking about the 2019 film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This was directed and written by Quentin Tarantino. I believe it's his 9th film.
Yep.
It's his most recent. And I remember wanting to watch this movie immediately when I saw the trailer, just based off of seeing Leo and Brad.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going and watching it in the theaters, and at first watching it and just being like, man, what is this leading to? Like, I'm not sure exactly what I'm watching here. And then seeing the ending and just being like, that was insane. Like, that was wild. And then when it came out on a Blu-ray release, I remember rewatching and immediately having this newfound love for the film and loving how the film tackles, dealing with the idea of, a fading star, and just storytelling in general and following somebody's life, and a movie that doesn't necessarily have to have too much of a plot, but just watching things happen and being entertained by it. And I remember on the rewatch just not being able to take my eyes off the screen. Loved every second of it. And I've come back to this film maybe this is like my 4th time now.
That's
And-
a lot of time.
Yeah.
2 hours and 40 times what, 4?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours, man.
So
Essentially 12 hours.
yeah, and I think this is about my 4th time that I've rewatched this movie, and it's something that I love every time, and I think it will be one that I will continue to visit whenever I want to, But yeah, I'm excited to break it down and see what you guys think about it. I know that this wasn't your first time, but I know it
No.
was Nick's.
It was my 2nd time watching it, and the first time, I hate to say it, but I didn't want to watch it. And then when I finished watching it the first time, I was like, why didn't I want to watch this? So going into it again and revisiting and rewatching the scenes that I know I loved even confirmed my love for them even more.
Yeah.
So I was super excited to rewatch it. But I was excited because we would hype. I think we hyped it up kind of good for Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was excited to hear what he said.
I don't know why. I had no drive to watch this movie when it came out at all.
I think it's the runtime.
It might have been the runtime, 2 hours 40. That's a pretty hefty price tag. But I'd seen the characters, I'd seen the cast. There's heavy hitters: Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. I mean, all of these great names. But I didn't really care to watch it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I know the quality Quentin Tarantino brings, and I knew that whatever he produces will be quality of somewhat. And I knew I'd get to it eventually. 2019 was a pretty big year.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, finally getting to it, I was really enthralled. Getting to visit a world that's as fleshed out as this is not something I'm usually used to. It's just kind of bare bone world building. But, no, this guy's got makeshift brands. He's got all kinds of stuff just to help make this world feel alive. And it's something that I love experiencing.
Yeah, I think one thing that, before we start to dive in, I think one thing that really works for this movie is how much it sets up its environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of shots of certain things that are in people's houses and, what late 60s Hollywood looked like with all the neon and architecture and the cars, the way people dress, like all that stuff. It's very... I wasn't alive around the time, but I would say is pretty, like, to the T what it would be like in Hollywood around that time. And I just want to piggyback off of what Nick had said and saying that, like, it makes this movie feel so realistic.
It's serious.
And it really just brings you into this entire world that Quentin brings, to the table.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I like to get lost in the world that he creates because it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, before we really get into the categories, I'll give a quick synopsis before we dive in here. So, this movie is essentially it follows 3 characters. We're following Rick Dalton, Cliff Booth, and Sharon Tate, and these 3 characters don't always necessarily interact with one another, but we're essentially following their storylines in Hollywood. Rick Dalton is a TV actor. He was known very heavily from a show called Bounty Law, and he's quickly becoming the villain in a lot of TV episodes and is becoming the punching bag and is trying to deal with becoming, a star that's losing his touch. While Cliff Booth has been by his side the whole time. He's his stuntman, and he's been, by Rick's side everywhere, doing Bounty Law with him, movies when he can and all that stuff, and they're, a good friendship, a duo, and they really spend a lot of time with one another. And then we have Sharon Tate, who is also a rising star in Hollywood, and she's only done a couple of films at this point in her career. And then if we know anything about history and how unkind it was to Sharon Tate, we do find out that this is a different interpretation of what were to happen at the end of her story, or as we see it in real history.
A more hopeful.
Yeah, it's this movie at the end of it is supposed to be a reinterpretation of what would have happened if these events didn't occur. And I think it makes for a really entertaining watch. I think it's a lot of fun when it's put on, and it's something that I think I had said at the end of the last episode that I think this is Quentin's most funny movie.
Yeah,
Like,
I will agree.
I would say that this is his most comedic movie, and I think that is just attributed to the great writing and line delivery from certain actors and all that stuff. It's everything culminates for just a cacophony of greatness. And I love every second that it's on. So go check this movie out if you have not done so, or if you just have been waiting for the excuse to go do so. Here it is. Go do it. It unfortunately isn't streaming anywhere right now, but you can rent it or buy it or something like that. I would only assume that this would come to streaming platforms at some time.
Yeah,
at some point sooner or later. So.
I'm sure HBO Max will have it soon.
And they'd be goated even more if they did.
That's factual.
But so go check it out if you haven't, or if you don't care about spoilers, continue listening. We're going to get into the categories. So first off, I'll start with my first pick, which is the intro. Yeah. I love getting brought in to this world immediately with an episode of Bounty Law. And I love the homage to old TV westerns.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Bounty Law was an actual TV show.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was really curious because I know that Quentin Tarantino likes to just create things.
Yeah.
And just have them as his part of his universe.
Mm.
So I just had assumed that this was part of it,
Okay.
a Bounty Law.
I think it was based on an actual
Yeah,
TV
so
show.
I just looked it up. It's a spin-off based off the Western series.
Is it really called Bounty Law?
Or was that Quentin's creation?
I think it's Quentin's creation. No, it's
Okay.
Wanted. It's based off Wanted Dead or Alive
Okay.
Okay. So yeah,
from
Bounty Law.
1959 to 1963.
Okay.
Gosh.
So I just love being immediately brought into this old-timey black and white TV Western, and we see Leonardo as this bounty hunter who, you know, his only role is to kill or be killed, and he's always killing criminals dead or alive and brings them back for $500. And I love that being the setup for this character and being like, oh, okay, he's this, you know, cowboy actor. And then I think it's really smart how they introduce Cliff and being like, oh, if you think you're seeing double, check your TV screen again, because this is Rick Dalton's stunt double, Cliff Booth. And, you know, he takes the falls. He does all the stuff that Rick can't do or, you know, would get hurt doing and all this stuff. And he's the fall guy for all this stuff. And it's just immediately you can tell the chemistry between the two. They're cracking jokes between the interview. And I just think it's a really good setup for the two characters that we're going to follow the most throughout the movie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I didn't know what I was getting into, and the fact that it started off as this old school Western, all black and white, and then you see the two head honchos being interviewed, and you get to see them kind of explain, you know, the relationship between stuntman and head man, and you know what kind of responsibilities they have to take. And I even extended to, isn't this also where he's going and meeting with
Al Pacino's
Al
character.
Pacino's character?
His name's like Marvin or something.
And he's straight up like savaging his whole career pretty much. He's like, hey, you're dying.
Yeah.
You're basically like the villain of the week, and you're a punching bag.
Yeah.
And all the audience will know you as is the punching bag.
Yeah.
And you're
People are looking at your career as, oh, you're the guy that got beat up by the good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, I want to help you revitalize your career. You got to go do Italian movies, man. And he's like, there ain't no good Italian movies. Yeah. They call them spaghetti
westerns.
Yeah, spaghetti westerns. And I loved just being introduced, and especially the way he decides to edit it as well. You know, we get to see him talking, and as he talks about one of his movies he was in, it intercuts to the movie,
Yeah,
and we get to
so-
see a specific scene of him being a bad A and all that
he's
stuff.
I watched 14 Fists of McCluskey last night with my wife. Oh, I loved it. The shooting, the action.
Yeah.
And, you see him, anybody order fried sauerkraut? It's just burning Nazis. Like I have to say, I really do love the way that whole sequence is shot, because it gives context to the type of movie star or, you know, TV star that Rick Dalton is.
Yeah.
And then you see this producer coming up to him and saying, listen, you're not like, your career isn't like that anymore. You're going to a lot more TV now, and you are becoming, you know, the end of the butt of the joke at the end of it. You know, every time you're on TV, the good guy wins.
Yeah, he says,
And-
your career is falling, man.
Yeah.
So let's get it fixed.
I really enjoy that whole sequence as well. I also like that Al starts to plant this in Leo's head, or Rick's head, because we really start to see Rick digest the thought, because he's never even thought about it. Like when he brings it up, he's like, "Oh yeah, they gotta have a fall guy. You know, I'm gonna be that guy." And he's like, "Well, listen, I'm trying to get you to think about this a bit, because when people start seeing you always taking the falls, they're gonna, you know, associate that with you."
They're subconscious.
Yeah.
It'll change the audience. You'll notice, because you will no longer be the guy everybody's looking for. You'll just be the punching bag, just like
Yeah.
you're saying.
And I love that, you know, Rick really starts to digest that and walks away from the conversation crying. He leaves and he's like, what did that guy tell you? Cliff is walking with him because he has to drive him everywhere,
Yep.
because Rick has gotten way too many DUIs.
Yeah.
And so
And
now,
crash.
That's another part of the characterization of Rick is
Yeah.
that he's an alcoholic.
yeah,
He's
And
sitting there just
I love the
sipping
narrator
on his
that
drink.
breaks in too. When he's like, "Oh yeah, Cliff,
That's a lie.
he's like, he gave me a ride, gave me a ride or something like that. Yeah, he's my buddy. He, my car broke down. It's in the shop." And the narrator breaks in. He's like, "That's a lie. Rick actually got way too many DUI charges on his license and can't drive anymore.
Yeah.
Cliff drives him everywhere." And that's super funny, but it's so funny. He comes out and is crying, and Cliff is all, "What happened? What'd that guy tell you in there?" And he's all, "It's official. I'm a has-been." And he's all, he wants me to go still and star in some Italian movies or something like that, and star in spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
And he starts
He's like,
crying.
they're all
Yeah, and he-
crap.
And he starts crying. He's all, "Whoa, okay, put these on." He like lands on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's all, "Whoa,
He doesn't really
get
know how
off
to
me."
handle
Yeah,
it.
Put these on. Put these shades on. He takes them off, and he immediately is like, "Well, what's so bad about?" He's all, "That doesn't sound too bad, right? I mean, you're gonna be making money regardless." He's all, "Yeah, the bad thing is I gotta do spaghetti westerns my life." He's all, "This is what my career came to." He's just getting pissed. And
Yeah.
I love every minute of it. It's so funny.
Yeah. Good way to
That
start.
has one of my favorite quotes in there.
Yeah.
Does it? Which
Yeah.
one?
He goes, "Don't cry in front of a Mexican." And immediately, that's when he hands his glasses. He goes, "Come on!" And that's when he yells, "I gotta do spaghetti westerns."
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So funny.
Yeah. What do you have an next for Scene Abraham?
My next one's not until like 20 minutes in, so I don't know if you got anything before.
My next one is him fighting Bruce Lee's
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
right
mine
before
too.
mine. That's right before
That's
mine.
him. Mine's, that whole sequence, him fixing the antenna,
Yeah.
reminiscing about the Green Hornet, all
Okay.
that stuff.
Okay.
So mine is, like I said, fixing the sequence to fix the antenna right before the fight. And I only wrote this down because I want this to be me, and I thought this was pretty BA. I thought he goes in there and he sees the antenna. He goes, "Okay, it's on the roof." And he goes in this like shack or something or storage and puts on
Puts
a
the
belt and
beer
puts a
in the-
beer. Bro, I want that to be me. I want to be able to take off my shirt, climb on a fence, jump on the roof, and then fix my antenna.
Yeah, he
and
really
have no
pulls
care-
out some like talent.
Yeah, he
He
does
like
some
parkour.
Parkour.
Yeah.
And I literally wrote it down because I just want to be able to do that, and I thought it was BA.
Yeah. And I wrote down in this scene, bro, why's Cliff Booth got to be so cool? Because he makes it look so effortless, right?
Yeah.
He goes in, he's got this sick Hawaiian shirt on, these like cool moccasins, and aviator glasses, and obviously it's insane that Brad Pitt is as old as he is and he's still ripped.
He's looking good still.
I one of the things that Alexa immediately said was like, "You can't be that old and ripped." Like, still, that's insane that you can be. Oh, how old is he? 55 or something.
I have no idea.
He's
I wouldn't even guess that though.
yeah, and
He looks young.
He looks young based on just his physique. It's
Mhm.
insane. But
58.
58.
So
He's-
it came out 3 years ago, so it'd be 55.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he'd be 55.
Yeah, it's insane just how chiseled he is, and I
He looks-
immediately was like, man, he looks so cool.
Yeah.
Like, taking his shirt off, smoking a cigarette, and
Yeah.
about to fix this thing, and reminiscing about the time that he fought Bruce Lee.
Talk about that
yeah,
scene.
This by far is one of the more funny scenes in the movie. So I didn't know this at the time because we don't really. It's kind of like they're setting up this extremely long joke. It seems like, right?
Yeah.
But we get the whole because beforehand Rick was like, "Hey, you can't really work on the set as my stunt guy because you have history with this guy here and he doesn't want you here, so you got to go." So he goes and does this whole thing and he reminisces about him being there, and Bruce Lee he's like the choreography fight dude.
No, he plays Kato.
Oh, he does?
in the show The Green Hornet.
Okay.
So The Green Hornet was a show in the late 60s, early 70s, and Bruce Lee played Kato
Okay.
in that role.
And he's up there saying he has this whole quote of like, I can't even remember what he talks about.
He's
It's like
talking about Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
And he's like, the thing I admire about Cassius Clay is,
they're warriors,
yeah,
or something
they
like
get
that.
in there, they get in there and they fight or something like that. And he's like, but with me, martial arts, like we're getting in there to kill each other.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing about America is you can't kill or something like that.
And Cliff is immediately like, he laughs. And Bruce Lee is like, well, why are you laughing? I didn't say anything funny.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? And he kind of calls him out. He says, I think you're pretty much all talk.
Yeah.
You're all talk and no bite. And he gives up the what is it, the ultimatum? Or not the ultimatum, but like the challenge of, it's so funny because he's like, you have no bite, let's fight.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I can't. Because if we were to fight, my hands are registered as lethal weapons, and if we fight and accidentally kill you, I'll go to jail. he's like, if anyone accidentally kills anyone during a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter.
Yeah.
And it was funny, and I honestly was on the side of Brad Pitt because immediately when he's like, all right, let's fight, he goes, okay, we'll do it. You won't hit me in the face. We won't like hurt each other.
Yeah.
It's whoever just hits the ground first. And I was like, okay, that's not really
He's scared.
You think of like a rug tug Western
Yeah.
guy, like Brad Pitt is going to just be like, oh, I'm going to push you down and that's it.
Yeah.
But he ends up taking the bet, and Bruce Lee comes in like,
He like kicks him
He
on the
kicks
ground.
first. He kicks him on the chest, like he lets him.
Yeah, and he knocks him on the ground. He's
And he
all,
go, all right, do it again.
he's all right, Kato. Try it again.
and he goes to try it again, straight up grabs him and smacks him into the car.
Yeah, dents the crap
Dents
out
the
of-
crap out of that car.
Yeah.
And I actually like the fight afterwards where he's blocking
Yeah.
each other and they're going, doo, 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 doo.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it's hilarious. This whole scene is just so funny. And, I love just the banter that goes back and forth between them, and Bruce Lee. Like, I love the guy that plays Bruce Lee kills it.
Mhm.
Like him playing the character of Bruce Lee is
Mhm.
just perfect, and I just love how like sort of pretentious Bruce Lee comes off as, and then just being like, I'm kind of better than
Mhm.
everybody else, but
He kind of was.
but
Lethal
Bruce Lee was the
weapons.
goat. But I just love that entire scene. I think it's hilarious, and then it's super funny whenever the girl,
The wife
comes
comes in.
out, and she's like, "What did you do to my car?" And he's like,
It's like, I didn't know that was your car.
Yeah, he's like, to be fair, I didn't know that was your car. And he's like, and you're fighting like with my lead.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we weren't really fighting. He barely touched me. And he's like, I think the dent in that Cadillac says something different. Like, super funny. I love this whole scene.
Yeah, and it's funny that it's such a little, like he's just reminiscing, but he goes to detail to flesh this what seemed like a little scene out into like this crazy long elaborate comedy skit.
Yeah. And then I love that afterwards, whenever he's
just
done
goes,
reminiscing, he's like, all right, yeah, I guess I could see why he wouldn't want me.
Yeah,
like
like
it starts fixing the
It's all it was for, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I appreciated that they went to take time to do that.
Yeah, me too. My next favorite scene after that is the dialogue between Rick and Marabella.
Okay, yeah.
And so at this point, Rick is on a shoot for a TV show that
He's called Lancer?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a pilot for this new TV show that's supposed to be coming out soon, and he's supposed to play the bad guy.
Yeah.
And
of course.
yeah, so he gets done up in some makeup that he's not usually used to. He has this whole get up. He's got long hair, a beard,
Got a mustache.
a fringe jacket, and all this stuff and everything. He looks like he normally wouldn't
Yeah,
on
nothing
TV.
like Rick Dalton.
Yeah. And I love that, he goes to get ready for a shoot, and there's a little girl who's going to be in the TV show. And her character's name is Marabella, but I believe her real name is Trudy.
Yeah,
Trudy
yeah.
Fraser.
Yeah. And so they're having this conversation, and,
She's so
Rick,
wise.
yeah, Rick walks up and is just kind of like, is it okay if I sit next to you and read my book? And she's like, oh, yeah, I don't care. Are you going to bother me? And she's like, I'll try my best not to. She's
Yeah.
all, okay, well, then you can sit next to me.
Oh, I hate it. Because immediately he sits down and he's like,
Yeah, just hawking loogies and being like,
like doing old man stuff.
yeah, and then looking at her and being like, what are you reading? And like just immediately breaking the silence
Yeah.
that was there.
What do you remember what she's reading? It's like a bibliography of Disney or
Of
something
Walt
like
Disney.
that.
Of Walt Disney.
Yeah, and she's like, I find it so fascinating that he's like one of the most creative geniuses of our time, and like within there's only like a genius mind that comes around like that every 100 years. Or
50 to 100, something like
For,
that.
for a
that.
9 years old, you're like,
Well, yeah, and he even goes to say, he goes, what are you, 12? She goes, I'm 8.
yeah, But I just love this little girl talking about acting in a way that Rick has never thought about it. And she eventually like talks about acting in the way that like we come to know acting today. And she's like, it's the actor's job to, you know, interpret emotion and really dive into what the character is and how they feel, how they think, and all this stuff. And, you know, meanwhile, Rick thinks about like acting is just coming up and saying some lines and looking cool on screen. And she's like, no, it's so much more than that. It's my job to understand the person and know what they think, how they feel, what they would look like, you know, in certain situations and all that stuff. And it gives Rick this whole new thought process on what acting is. And it also, I feel like it almost gives him a fire, like to like revamp his career and to really, you know, show the people what he's got rather than just, you know, being the guy on screen with the gun.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of like a pride check because she immediately is like, it's a part of the actor's job to not have any impediments and to always be 100%. And of course, we see him right before that taking a swig of alcohol. And he's coughing up loogies and all that stuff. He's definitely not ready for the role that they're about to play in. Yeah. And she's kind of calling him out on that, basically. And I feel like his pride is in check. And it kind of leads into the scene that I love so much is the actual shooting of the Lancer.
Okay.
I think that's right there, right?
Yeah, that's my next one too. But I do want to talk about whenever she's breaking down the book that he's
reading.
Yeah.
Oh, so, I love this scene too.
He starts reading his book and she's like, oh, what are you reading? And he's like, oh, it's this book about, you know, this guy who's a Bronco buster. And they called him, you know, was it Easy Breezy?
Yeah, Easy Breezy.
And he's like, yeah, he's a Bronco buster. You could break any horse you gave him. And one day he fell off and he broke his hip. And now he's not able to do things like he used to anymore, and people, you know, are starting to forget about good old Easy Breezy. And you know, he starts to reminisce about when he was in his prime, and you know, while he's talking about that, he starts realizing that it's slowly about his life, and he just starts crying and tearing up. And immediately Marabella goes over there, and she's like, oh, like, I can tell that this is a really sad book, and I haven't even read it. Like, I'm so sorry that this is so sad for you. And he was like, he's all, just wait, give it 15 years and you're going to be living it. And,
and she's like,
you know, just trying to let her know, like, everyone's going to forget you. You're going to be a has-been just like me.
Yeah. So depressing, honestly.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I love thinking about Leonardo DiCaprio, who is like one of the most recognizable actors in the world, you know, going through this thought process of being like, man, I'm a nobody now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it just goes to show like how great of an actor I think Leonardo is, and being able to like be a great actor but to play like you don't know what you're doing. And that goes into my next favorite scene in yours as well, where you know, they actually do the shooting of the episode. And I love the way that they set it up, the way the bloopers, like it's like, oh, we got to set back to square one, redo your line, like all that stuff. You break it that down.
Yeah, the behind the scenes of the actual shooting of Lancer is so cool. But he basically, beforehand, I love the way we get to see him practicing his lines with a tape recorder. And it was cool to see him practicing and him not putting much thought into it. And then to get to see that translate to the actual filming of the Lancer was so sick to see the lines being like actually played out.
Actually used.
And it was cool because it was like we were watching the movie, you know what I mean? With each camera shot, how it moves and all that. And it was interesting enough to be like engaging just on its own, just this show. I kind of wanted to just watch this show, honestly.
Yeah.
But the hero comes in and he does that whole stare down, and he has that like trick shot where instead of pulling it like normal and shooting on the standoff, he shoots behind.
Yeah.
And he, you know, Rick Dalton, I forget his name. It's like Decatu.
Caleb Decatu.
Decatu comes out and he has a chicken wing and he's biting it, saying his lines that we got to hear before. Brings him in, and it's the scene that you were talking about where the camera is so intense on the main character, and the camera swivels around to really highlight Leonardo's character.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and then he goes,
"Oh,
Yeah,
line.
line.
What's the line here? I forget. What's the line?
Yeah, and that breaks his whole character, his whole persona, because they have to reset.
Yeah.
And then when they get back to do it, he's about to say his line, and he goes, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm out of it. I'm a has-been. I can't." Like you get to see that that anxiety come out of him. He's like, "I can't do it," and everyone, all you hear, all the producers being like,
He's like,
"Just say the line. Just say the line. Let's get it done."
Yeah, it's so funny too. Whenever he's like, he's all sitting there looking at him, and he's all, "What's the line again? Say the line." And she's all, "I give her a fat $5 gold piece. She come down here and play her chili pepper heart out." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I got it. All right."
Let's reset.
He's all, "Reset. Here we go." And does like the spit take, and he's all, "You tell that woman get down here. I give her a fat $5." Does the whole thing, and they do a couple more lines, and then the camera moves around, and he's all, line, what's the line again?
Like, I can't do it.
And then he starts going, "Sam, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I suck. I'm a has-been."
Yeah.
It's so funny to watch that facade break down. And then, when he finally gets the scene down, that goes into another one of my favorite scenes, which I tie in this whole sequence as just my favorite. When he goes back to the trailer.
Oh, this is my favorite scene.
Which I found out is this entire scene is unscripted. It was It was not included in the script. That whole trailer sequence was not in the script,
but it fits in so perfectly.
Yeah, everything that's said by Leo is improv.
Yeah,
and he goes back to his trailer. He smashes this window, and he starts getting so mad at himself. He's like, "I can't remember my lines. I practiced them, and it doesn't look like I practiced them." Yeah. And he started getting mad, and he's like, "You're sitting there like a baboon."
Dude, bro, I kid you not. When he did that, when I was watching it and he did that, I said, "He really said like a baboon," and he's just
dude. I die at it every time. And he starts crying. He's like, "You're a miserable drunk." He's like, "You can't go 5 days without ever having a drink." And he gets mad, and he's all, I can't have 3 whiskey sours. I have 8. Why do I have 8 whiskey sours every night?" Then he starts getting mad and kicking and smoking, and it's so funny too when he looks in the mirror, but it looks like he's looking in the camera.
Yeah.
And he's all, "You're gonna go out there. You're gonna go show Sam. You're gonna show that little girl. You're gonna show all those people that you're Rick Dalton. You know what you're doing. And if you don't, I'm gonna blow your brains out all over the pool tonight. You understand me? You got this. Let's go." It's just an incredibly funny scene, but also incredibly well acted, and it shows the range that Leo has. And I love seeing him break stuff and get mad. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I love this accent too. It seems so genuine, even though it's not his accent. He uses it so well here.
Yeah, I have to say too, I was when I first started watching the movie, this most recent rewatch, I was talking to Alexa, and I was like, "Man, it's so believable that Leo is this character, because I feel like this is almost him, but he just has a different accent, and then being like, 'Oh man, yeah, Cliff, he's my stunt man. He drives me all these places, and I feel like that's Leo, but it's not, and he embodies this character so well.
Yeah,
I love every minute of his character on screen as well as Cliff's.
Yeah, for sure.
But then this also, extends to whenever we finally get to watch Rick kill the scene, whenever he really digs deep and he throws Marabella on the ground.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this scene.
Dude, awesome.
It was
awesome acting.
You get to see what he was like.
Yeah.
What that fire does to someone.
Yeah.
It was so incredibly satisfying to watch.
Yes.
Because there was a shift in acting. You could definitely tell, because after he gets shaken up, he's sitting there with a weird stink eye, and it doesn't really look natural. But when he goes back in it and he gets deep into the character, just like Trudy was saying, you give it your all.
Yeah.
You really get to see it shine through the film, and it's really emotional.
Yeah.
It really is, to see him go through the emotions at the end of it, but also you get to see him kind of pour his heart out.
Yeah, and then I love right at the end of it, you watch him get teary-eyed.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Let's go, Rick Dalton. Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
I got that."
Yeah.
It's so rewarding, and it's like you said, it causes a flood of emotions to come through, and I'm just like, "Let's go, dude. Hell yeah."
It's because we're rooting for him. We
Yeah.
want him to succeed because we've been following him. We like him, you know.
He kills it though. I love the whole.
I love
him
what-
like improvising certain lines and
throwing her down.
on the ground.
Dude, I felt bad for her.
the fact that she was like, "Oh, I follow my, I follow
I
my,
throw
I
myself
got
on the floor
pads
all the
on.
time.
even when I'm not getting paid."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, so
She's-
funny.
"She's gonna be good when she grows up." When she,
Yeah, but I love too the director coming up. He was all, I love that improv line, and then he's all and-
Bronco busting.
yeah, and he was all your idea of throwing Maribella on the ground is genius. I love it. We're keeping it every minute of it.
Yeah.
And he's just taking that all in. He's like, thank you, I appreciate it, and he starts to get really emotional, and I just love every second of
That's
it.
even Maribella goes up to him after that and whispers in his ear.
That's when he
that
really
was
starts,
really wholesome
when
too.
he really starts tearing
And
up. She's like, that's
she's-
some of the best acting I've
I've
seen
ever
in my life.
That's
and that
so
means
cool.
so much to him because he like basically broke down in front of her.
He did. He was
Yeah.
He was crying. He was like,
Thank you.
"Thank you."
Yeah. Love it.
I love that.
Love
scene.
to see it.
My next favorite scene is when he goes to the ranch, Spawn Ranch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That,
I don't know
This
if you got
whole-
anything before that.
Okay. I only have one more scene after the one we just talked
Yeah.
about. So and
My next one is the
it's
ranch
towards,
as well.
It's towards the end. The whole ranch sequence is just a huge bro moment. for me.
Gosh, it's so eerie when we get to this ranch,
it's
man.
tense, isn't
It's
it?
so tense.
It feels like the hills have eyes.
It does.
like it's just this like desert, desolate land. You
Yeah.
get these people crawling out of the woodworks,
Yeah.
looking around, being like, "Who's this guy?"
It's built up to feel very cultish.
Yeah.
Like even me not knowing anything about the ranch or anything about the Manson family at all. When we got there, it was shot in a way that made me feel really eerie and really like it felt very cultish.
yeah.
Because we get to see this weird out of context shot of all these girls like, "Oh, we are all one," and they're carrying all food around.
I hate that.
Walking barefoot.
Walking barefoot.
Which it was news to me seeing Sydney Sweeney,
Yep.
Yeah,
She's
there.
Squeak or
Yeah,
something, right?
Squeaky.
Yeah, Squeaky.
and I remember seeing her. I was like, "Bro, she's like huge now. That's insane."
Yeah.
Well, just like I know,
Own-
like Austin Butler
Yeah.
is Tex, and
Yeah.
he's huge right now.
Yep.
We're thinking of
Same
I know-
thing from the girl from You.
yeah, she's
in-
there too.
She's in it too.
I saw her and I was like, Lisa, this
Yeah.
is a girl from You.
yes.
They have such heavy hitters here.
Yeah, and I have to say I give credit to Quentin because he has this quality to like pull young talent
Yeah.
and like give them a shining moment for a second, and then like
And
they
then
have
that skyrockets
Yeah, and then
them.
they have careers after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like look at all the people we just named.
Well, yeah, I was talking to Alexa about it. She goes, "Cause I mentioned I forgot that Austin Butler was in this movie. Like I thought that was him. I forgot that was him.
Yeah.
And then I reached that part, and she goes, "No, dude, there's so much more people who weren't big at the time that now are huge,
Yeah.
and that's probably could be props to this movie."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same thing with Margaret Qualley, who plays Pussycat.
Yep.
She went on to do that show Made, and a couple other movies that.
That is her.
Yeah.
Holy
Mhm.
cow.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Dakota Fanning as Squeaky.
Oh yeah, Dakota Fanning, dude. Her character.
Her character is
so funny.
so very like
So
deadpan.
Yeah, like-
he's dead asleep in there. You might have to shake
his
him.
brains out last night or
was
this
like-
morning or something. I was like, what?
And the way it's like zoomed in on her eyes, and she's just like,
Yeah, so funny.
yeah.
But give us a little context to this scene and
Yeah.
then break it down.
So basically, Brad Pitt's on his way. Where's he going?
I believe he's
I think he's going to.
He's going
just,
home?
He's just driving. Like I think it's after he fixes the antenna.
Yeah.
And he's just driving around, and he
He-
sees this.
Same
He
He
sees
girl.
sees the same girl for
like
the
the
third
Yeah,
time.
he sees Pussycat the third time, and she's asked
she's
him to,
like-
for a ride once, and he's like, "No, I'm going the other way."
Yeah.
And then this time he was like, "Okay, we're going on the same way." And then that's when she mentions Spawn Movie Ranch.
And
And
he's
he
like,
was like,
what the heck?
Spawn Movie Ranch? Like,
Really?
the Spawn Movie Ranch? She was like, yeah. And so basically, essentially, she pulls over. She's hitchhiking. She's trying to get there. And he pulls over, picks her up. And they're basically getting to know each other.
Wow.
And
What a way to get to know each other.
I know. And this scene is also awkward for me because, one, I just hate how there's so much feet in this movie.
Yeah, Quentin definitely plays into the meme.
Yeah,
he does.
He
He
does.
has to.
He acknowledges the meme for
Okay.
sure in this
And
movie.
Do you see it like
Putting her feet on the
dashboard?
windshield.
It is
And
like-
it's so dirty.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they got freaking Blackfoot.
Yeah.
And so again, they're just getting to know each other, and he goes, "Oh, is
His name is George.
George? Is George still there?" And she was like, "Yeah, George's still there. Like
He lets us live with him.
he
all
lives
this
with
stuff.
us.
He's like, that
Sketch.
doesn't seem
That doesn't seem
right.
like him." And he was like, "Well, I used to do westerns there 8 years ago, I think it was." So essentially, they're driving down the freeway. I think this is the scene where you have a fact for.
Yeah, so I come to find out that even the small scenes that they have using the freeway in LA, the 101, which is the busiest
One of the busiest
freeways in Los Angeles, was shut down from 12 to 2 one day just so they could get a couple of shots with like period appropriate cars driving down the freeway.
Just imagine how many cars you have to have though,
Yeah.
because it's LA.
Yeah, you got to have quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yeah.
I know whenever it's such an inconsequential scene, but when I saw them getting on the freeway and I saw the traffic, I was like, because I was just recently in LA seeing a Dodgers game,
Oh,
and I immediately saw the traffic that was portrayed, and I was like, man, I wish traffic was like that. So, dude, that thing it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was funny.
So essentially, I just had to throw it out there because I thought that was cool that they did that. But they're going probably like 5-10 minutes on the road, and they finally get to the ranch. And at first, I didn't remember if he did something to her or not, because he gets out and she doesn't get out for like a minute or so. So I was nervous for her. I don't know why. Even though I watched it, I was like, shoot, what did he do to her? Like, why isn't she getting out? And then finally she gets out, and she was like, come on, let me show you around. And I had to laugh because she almost eats crap when she pulls him.
Yeah, she slides real quick.
Yeah. And then you see some sketchy people just coming out of every door of every building in that ranch.
Yeah, it looks like Children of the Corn.
Seriously.
So
Coming out.
creepy.
Seriously, dude. All rats, basically.
Yeah.
Scurrying out the woodworks.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, so where's George? And she's like, oh, he's like, does he still live in that house right there? And she was like, yeah, but I think he's asleep right now. It's his nap time. He goes, I need to see George.
Low key, I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
I thought that he was going to be like a rotting corpse in this house.
Yeah, it's what they build it up to.
They do.
To be, and I love that he's like, he eventually walks all the way up to the screen door, and she's like, I want to see George. Is he here? And she's like, he's sleeping.
taking his
It's his
nap.
nap time.
I think that was also goated because they didn't talk.
Yeah.
So how the heck does she know what to say?
It's true, but
Yeah.
it's so specific that it almost seems like a lie. Because she's like, well, he's at his nap time, and he has to nap now because it's our time to watch FBI later on, and I don't want him to fall asleep, and that's our time.
Yeah.
And it seems so like absurdly
Yeah.
specific that it's got to be a lie, right?
Yeah. It feels like that, but
Yeah.
I love Brad Pitt's character's determination to be like, listen, I drove a long way, and I'm gonna see George with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
And this is not gonna stop me. So you better let me in. And she's just immediately like, all right, fine, get in. And, is pissed. And I love the establishing shots of like how dirty and nasty this house is.
That's what I was
dude.
gonna
and
say.
then
To
the
see that
mice
just stuck on that pad, dude, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and just
this is horrible.
tons of dishes, rotting food. Everything's dusty, dirty. It looks nasty in the house, and it builds up the illusion that like this guy's gonna be dead.
He's just gonna be a rotting corpse.
Yeah.
Even because she specifically says, "Hey, 8 years ago, that's his name." She's like, "He's blind, so you're gonna have to like explain to him who you are." And I was like, "Dude, we're gonna see a rotting corpse in there with his eyes gouged out." I was like, "This is gonna be terrible, dude." I did not know what to expect.
Yeah,
but
and so like you said, you see how dirty this house is, and the event finally goes into this still nasty room and knocks on there, and he's like almost into a fetal position and like pushes him, George, hey George, and like you don't see him move for like after 2 pushes, and then you finally see him and he finally just squirms a little bit,
yeah.
and he
turns around and he's all, who is that?
He's like, "I'm blind as a bat, I can't see crap."
It's so funny too whenever Cliff brings up the idea. He's like, "Are you sure you're letting that little redhead and all her friends stay here?" And he was all, "Didn't you just listen to what I told you? I'm blind. I can't see. I don't know if she's got red hair."
It was so funny, dude.
It's so funny, man.
Playing the part.
Yeah.
And so basically he tries to explain to him like who he is, but still he won't get it. Which makes me think like he was on drugs.
Like senile or something.
Or like loaded. Like
Yeah.
they're sedating this man and he's just not able to remember anything.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Squeaky loves him though.
Yeah. And he's all Squeaky loves me.
Is that the girl?
That's the red-haired girl.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, where she says, "I effed his brains out this morning, so he might be a little extra tired."
Gosh.
So funny.
Kind of gross, but okay.
Yeah.
So then he just was like, all right, well, I'm leaving. So he leaves. And then before he goes in the house, everybody that came out was standing outside.
Yeah.
And then when he walks out, no one's there.
They're all gone except Pussycat.
Except
Yeah.
Pussycat.
And she's
then
She's like, "Why'd you do that? That was so uncool of you."
You embarrassed me.
Yeah.
she's embarrassing herself. Go take a shower. Wash your feet. Wash your feet.
I know what you're talking about.
Sorry, I had to say.
I haven't done that in a long
I
time.
immediately knew what you're talking about.
Cedric on TikTok.
Yeah.
Go.
That's funny.
And you see Cliff just sitting there on a ledge on a.
No, it's what's his name? Cleo or
Clem.
Clem.
Yeah,
Clem?
the guy with the long hair that stabs the tire.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes. Oh, I did put. I said Cliff, but I meant.
Cliff walks out and sees him, and he's
Yes.
Yeah. Sitting on the corral.
And
yeah.
he's just smiling.
Yeah, and he's all the way he
got that like
laughs, dude.
hillbilly laugh too.
Yeah.
And his teeth
he
are all
goes-
jacked up.
He's all, "Did you do that?" And he starts doing that laugh. And I love immediately how he's like looking at him, gets the spare tire, and he's all, "Fix it."
No, and this is where I was like, good.
Yeah.
You deserved it.
Yeah.
He goes, fix it, and he just like no, like doesn't even say anything.
And he's
he
all,
goes-
"This is my boss's car."
He goes, if I'm not there to pick him up, he's gonna be pissed.
Yeah. He's like, "If
Fix
anything were
it.
to happen to my boss's car, I would get in trouble. And I am not going to get in trouble on account of something that you did. So fix it."
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets up like he's gonna do something,
Yeah.
and then just goes, boom.
Yeah, he goes, "Ah," hits him, and you see him just fly
Dude,
back.
literally just like a video game. Just
See his feet lift off the floor.
I want to be
Yeah.
able to have that strength.
That power. It's insane too. He just grabs him and starts going, "Bow."
And then keeps on
busting
going,
him up.
Yeah.
and then throws him on the car and says, "Fix it." He goes,
He's all, "Can I get a wreck?
Can I
Wipe
get
my
a-
face first?" He's
No.
all, "No, fix
"Fix
it."
it."
Again, he's like commanding the situation.
Yeah.
I love it too because one of the girls tells him to go get Tex because he's on a house
He's on
tour,
a
a horse tour. Yeah, and I love it too because it's such an inconsequential scene, but it's Tex riding back. For some reason, I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved seeing these like shots of like
Him just going, "Yeah." Ah.
it felt like an old school western.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and it was a very inconsequential scene. It really was nothing.
Yeah.
Just him riding back.
I like too that it's really Austin Butler writing.
Yeah.
Like it's not some stunt double that's like there's a cut or anything like that. Like you truly see this man, galloping
Mhm.
on the horse, and it's I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
But by the time he shows up,
car's
He's
gone.
Cliff is gone.
Yeah,
Tire's been fixed. It's so funny too whenever he starts fixing the tire and he looks up at some of his girls and
He's
his
just
girls
like,
all,
I hate.
I was like, dude, come on.
dude, it's so funny.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It is funny though.
I love it. But that leads into the ending for me.
Yeah,
Which is
my
my
next
last
favorite
favorite
scene
scene.
is the ending.
The whole ending sequence, like from the build up whenever the Manson family gets there
Mhm.
to the craziness of the home invasion all the way to the end. Like that whole thing is just all right here for me.
Yeah, me as well. This pretty much took my breath away when I saw this. I didn't expect literally anything to happen. And the way that they build tension here is insane, dude.
Yeah.
We get the Manson family coming up in that old rickety car, and you hear Rick
the
Dalton.
muffler.
Yeah, and Rick Dalton's making margaritas. It's also kind of heartbreaking too because we get the scene where this is their last night together.
Yeah.
Him and
Rick and Cliff are
Yeah.
gonna part ways
And
after this.
it's their night to get like hammered drunk
Yeah.
together.
I love that line too, where it's like the best way to close off any friendship is to get blackout drunk together
Yeah.
or something.
Someone who's more than a brother and a little less than a wife.
Yeah.
I was like, that perfectly encapsulates their relationship. But he ends up smoking that cigarette.
The
Acid
acid
dip
dip cigarette, dude.
But he leaves, which builds tension because Cliff has been the protector, quote unquote. He has his pit bull dog. He's the one who's done all the
Yeah.
fighting, right?
Yeah. He's
And
got Brandy by his side.
Yeah.
Brandy's the goat.
Brandy's the goat, dude. But he leaves, so the protection is gone.
Yeah.
And when Rick Dalton sees the guy out there, he goes out there and he's like trying to protect his.
The blender full of margarita. And he
This
goes
guy's
out
the
there.
most unintimidating man because he's in his freaking robe with the margarita and he starts berating the crap out of him, dude.
Yeah.
What are some quotes that he says?
He's like, you come up here. He's like, you dang hickeys come up here to smoke dope on a dark road. He's all, I need to get out of here. There's a private road.
yeah.
And he's all, we got lost. We're just turning around. He's all, well, do it now before I call the cops.
Dude.
So
Well,
funny.
and we get those establishing shots of freaking Tex loading the gun, unload the gun. Like there's the gun there.
Yeah.
And Rick Dalton doesn't quite understand the gravity of the situation,
Yeah.
which another way of building tension effectively. And man, I didn't know anything about the Manson family and what they had done that night.
Yeah.
So to get to see this rendition of it was extremely gratifying.
Yeah.
Because I freaking hate them, especially when they back up, they get down the road, and one of the girls, I think her name is
Maya Hawke.
what's her actual name? I think her name is Sadie. Or something like that?
No, Sadie's the black-haired one. I think I think it's Sydney or something. I forget exactly what. But yeah, it's played by Maya Hawke, who would go on to do
Uma
Stranger
Thurman?
Things.
Yeah.
It's Uma Thurman's daughter.
With Ethan Hawke.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she goes on to do Stranger Things. And
Is she the one that is in the
Scoops Ahoy.
Scoops Ahoy?
Yes.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's
This
tons of people in this movie now where you watch it again and you're like, whoa, this person's in it?
Yeah. No, but the Sadie is the most annoying one. She's like,
So, we grew up in Hollywood, man.
yeah, it's the whole turning point.
These people told us to kill. All that
Yeah,
stuff.
it's because so Charlie gives them the task of going to Tate, Sharon Tate's house and killing all them there.
Yeah.
But when they see Rick Dalton, they recognize who he is and how he's kind of been perpetually showing violence and teaching the younger generation all about violence. And
So they want to get him back.
They want to get him back and say that violence begets violence and all that stuff, and they want to make it the most gruesome. I think he says, "Leave this place like witchery" or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when they decide to go to Rick Dalton's house instead of Sharon Tate's.
Yes.
Which is great because by this time Cliff is back.
Yeah.
And he's tripping on acid.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
And he
I have
says
to-
earlier on in the movie, he goes, "If I'm gonna trip on acid, I'm gonna do it here,
He's
so I can explore in the woods."
Yeah. And I love to. I never thought in a million years that I would love watching Brad Pitt trip on acid.
just going like whoa.
I love he smokes it for the first time. He's all, and away we go.
Yeah.
And starts walking, and then he comes back, and Brandy's all, Brandy, couch. She gets on the couch, and he's all trying to feed her, and he's all, don't you?
He's like, "This is the best I could do."
He starts just tripping out. He's
Yeah.
all, whoa. It's hilarious. And
Yeah.
he's like licking the dog food and all that stuff. It's super funny.
Yeah, and again, it's a really smart way because beforehand we had got the scene where Brandy is insanely trained to follow his every command to the T.
Yes.
And she won't do anything else otherwise. But of course, she's barking at the
people coming
intruders, and he doesn't know that because he's faded. So he's like, "Oh,
He's
this
like, are you whining?
He's like, "Oh, this is the best I can do right now." And of course, they break in, and then Sadie comes around back, and she breaks in, and of course, he's not understanding the gravity of the situation. He's like,
Yeah.
He's tripping out.
He's like, "Are you guys even real?"
Dude, this is I'm glad you said that's one of my favorite quotes. He goes, "Are you guys real?" And Tex goes, "Real as a donut, you mother."
Yeah.
Why a donut of
So
everything?
funny.
Yeah.
It's such a serious situation for Tex, but a funny situation for I keep on forgetting their names.
for
dude.
Cliff.
Cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and meanwhile, this is happening. Rick's in the pool,
Literally jamming out.
jamming out to some music with his margarita.
Yeah.
His wife is asleep in the bed, and Brandy's still sitting on the couch because
She's like kind of growling
Yeah,
too.
because
She's waiting.
Cliff hasn't given the command yet.
Yeah.
And
Insane
that's
way to
one of my
build
favorite
tension.
quote.
It is, and then it goes into this whole long like they're basically undercutting all of the like, oh, I'm scared of these guys. They undercut all of that because they are basically like worthless.
Yeah,
At the end of
and
this.
also Cliff is high as hell.
High as hell, and he's still destroying these people.
Yeah, and he undercuts the whole thing with comedy.
Yeah,
And I think it's hilarious because like he, the guy Tex goes in and he's pointing the gun at him, and
then he
starts going. and starts laughing. And they're both pointing the gun at one another and just laughing. And
Yeah.
all this stuff. And meanwhile, Cliff has this freaking dog food can in his hand,
dude.
and
Well, then he
immediately
whistles
like
for
they
Brandy.
they start having a dialogue at first, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I know
Yes.
you guys.
Yeah.
I've seen you before. Yeah, at Spawn Ranch. I remember your red hair,
Yeah.
and I remember your white little face, and you were on a horsey." And then he's like, he's all, "I'm forgetting your name. What was your name?" And then
he
he's
says
all,
that cringe line.
he says the line that was said in the actual Sharon Tate murder, where the guy said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Mhm.
And Tex says that line, and then Cliff kind of looks at him and is all, "No, it was dumber than that.
Yeah.
It was something like Rex." And then Sadie screams,
Yeah,
Shoot him, Tex!" And he's all,
Ah.
"Tex, that's what it was." And then you see Tex cock the gun, and then you
And then
see,
he goes,
you
or he
see,
goes like,
you see Cliff go, and
and
just
immediately,
goes, boom, just starts attacking,
Yeah.
attacking Tex. And then Sadie sees that, she starts running at him with a knife, and he
he
just
straight up footballs
Dude,
that
that's-
thing.
beams the dog food can at her face and breaks her nose in half.
Dude, I cannot tell you how much I busted up laughing when this happened because it was such a very tense moment. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't know if he was going to survive or not.
Yeah.
But now we get this like extremely undercut of, "Oh, I'm the devil here to do," like it seems
Yeah.
so freaking cringy and like it seems so childish.
Yeah.
And I love that they decided to undercut it with comedy, especially when he chucks that thing
And
at her.
insane violence.
Insane, brutal
Yeah.
violence, and it's honestly exactly what they deserve.
yeah.
No, I was about to say it's well deserved.
It's deserved because of what happened to actually happened to Sharon.
Yeah, and this is like a like what everyone wishes were history.
Yeah.
It's like they're coming and getting their comeuppance basically. They get,
Exactly.
and it's so gruesome, dude. I love it because it kind of reflects the real true gruesome nature that they actually did, but
Yeah.
just inverted onto them,
Yeah.
which is genius because we get the scene where she's got her nose broken. He's
She's
getting
just
his
screaming.
groin ripped up by Brandy.
Yeah.
The gun gets dropped, and then another girl comes, and he straight's like
Yeah, he
freaking
he gets her
wow,
somehow
wow, wow,
and starts
wow.
smashing her into the telephone.
every
And-
single
Everything
freaking
in his surrounding.
yeah, smashing into the fireplace, the table.
dude.
And it's insane looking. Like she's just grabbing her hair and just going,
It's so visceral.
it's
I don't know how you
wild.
can get that kind of strength.
Yeah, it's insane. And it looks, I don't know how real it may look, but it looks insanely real
Oh,
to
it's
me.
so- it
'Cause
looks
you see
so
her body
real.
just like ragdolling, and the whole time, after Tex has been killed, Brandy's now attacking Sadie.
Yeah.
And Sadie's just just getting
ripped
getting
up.
torn up by a dog. And then eventually she like runs out.
She starts to shoot the gun, and
she
then
gets the gun and starts to shoot. That scares Brandy off, and then she like runs out the glass door, breaks the glass door, and then Rick is
It's
chilling.
so funny,
and he
dude.
sees that, and he's all, "What the hell?" And she, falls into the pool, and Rick, gets out real quick and goes into the shack, and that's where we get to see one of the things that's introduced very early into the movie,
payoff.
which is the flamethrower that was used in the 14 Fists of McCluskey. And he's like, "Yeah, I have it actually. That flamethrower, I got to bring it home. Nobody knows I have it."
Yeah.
And we
that
see
good?
it. We even see it in the shack whenever Cliff is going through the tools to fix the antenna.
Do we?
Yeah. It's shown.
That's a really good establishing shot right
And
there.
it goes back, and we see Cliff, just his feet at first, and you see that you hear these horns come in. It's like, wow. And he comes in, and he's got the backpack on, the and the flamethrower in hand. And when I saw this in theater, and I saw that shot, everyone in the theater erupted and started clapping and was just like, just going insane. And he lights up that thing and just straight up lights this girl on fire in the pool and burns her to a crisp.
That was so insanely visceral.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how much he decided to show.
Yeah.
The violence was just
But-
absolutely gruesome.
Yeah.
It only got
crazy,
violent until the end.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only moment of violence throughout the entire
And that's
film,
what I
would
really
say.
appreciated.
Other than like the fighting with Clem,
Yeah.
at Spawn
and that's
Ranch.
very little blood.
very
either.
little. Especially for a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you look at a movie like Kill Bill,
I was about
Oh,
to say.
the amount
Kill
of
Bill?
blood that's used in Kill Bill, like, is insane.
Yeah.
But
We get to see that like her raisined up corpse in the water though.
Yeah, she's
just
just
burnt up.
Raisin. I love that you said a raisin.
Dude, it looks like just a freaking raisin and
you
floating.
know what it reminds me of? Whenever I see the body, is the bodies that are used in Hereditary. Like and
Yeah.
how insane they look like
Oh.
when they're dead.
Mhm.
Like it reminds me of that, and it has this like eerie, real feeling.
I just think about the ants crawling.
Yeah, and I think about that whenever I see her body at the end, and I'm like, oh man, it looks insanely real to me. It's
Yeah.
wild. But then we in the fight we had seen that Cliff got stabbed, and it's left us on a shot where we think he might have died because of it. But luckily he ends up being okay. The ambulance come and pick him up. The police are taking reports about what's going on, and Cliff is still high on acid. And the police are trying to take a report, and he's like, "What did they say to you whenever they came in?" He's like, "I don't know." He said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do some devil crap." Like, I don't know. He said something to that effect. That's not verbatim, but and then he ends up getting taken away, and Rick and Cliff are like, "Hey, listen, I'll come see you in the hospital." And Cliff is like, "No, you've got that fine Italian wife of yours in bed. You got to go get sleep next to that thing. Don't come see me in the hospital tonight. Come tomorrow."
Bring some bagels.
Yeah.
And
And we get left off on this shot where he's like, "You're a good friend, Cliff.
Yeah,
I
and
love you." And he just goes, "I try." And then
It's so wholesome.
yeah, and they end up parting ways, and then Rick gets introduced to Sharon Tate's ex-fiance and Sharon Tate herself, and that ends up hopefully launching off his whole movie career and getting introduced to Roman Polanski, and just skyrocketing his entire career after that night.
Yeah. It's just an overall very hopeful, genuinely like happy ending. Because
Yeah.
she invites him back to have some drinks with her friends, and you can see her being pregnant and all happy and jovial. And he finally gets to introduce himself to her.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning he's like, they see them and he's like,
He's like,
"Man, living here all this time, that's the first time I ever saw him."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I could be one pool party away from."
Starring in a Roman Polanski movie.
Yeah, and of course, pool party is a little bit
Yeah.
different context here. It ends up giving him his step in the door. But
Yeah.
just to see them, get what they truly deserve, a happy life.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Was-
definitely feels well deserved. I remember at the end, the first time watching it, I was like, "That was awesome."
Yeah.
And then rewatching it the second time, I was like, "That was so gratifying." Like the way that Quentin Tarantino is able to write, like, and being able to wrap up everything so nicely at the end of a movie, especially like this, where it feels like there's like no plot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, "Man, that's awesome writing." Like, and it felt great to be able to feel that sense of gratification and like hope
Yeah.
for Rick.
Yeah, I had heard some people describe the ending as more melancholic because they, if you think about the title, like Once Upon a Time,
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a fairy tale.
and then like you understand that this is the ending that is not true.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, reminisce on what real history is. And it's
happened.
more of like a bittersweet kind of deal.
like, dang,
Mhm.
I wish this would have happened.
yeah.
So, and that's, people who have been more familiar with all of that, the history of all that stuff.
Yeah. I can understand it being interpreted that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I
I left it feeling like,
Yeah,
let's go.
exactly. And I think that's done because of the way that Quentin Tarantino builds the universe that's shot in this film.
For sure.
And so when I see that at the end, I'm like, dude, let's go Rick. Like, Rick.
I was going to say,
Rick.
oh, we're going to get into
Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty. But, I just end up, cheering for him.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
This is just a bunch of TikTok references.
Yeah, for real.
And I mean, that's the movie right there.
Yeah, it is. That's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So if there's any other favorite scenes here, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Done.
All right. Let's get into best quotes then. This is
All right.
highly quotable, I think.
I already said most of mine.
I did too.
Yeah.
It's just because they're the ones that made me belly laugh.
Yeah. I think we've said a lot of them. One of them that we have not said, which is another inconsequential scene, which I found it was an actual real reaction from Leonardo DiCaprio. There's a scene whenever...
Real people, real reaction.
Yeah.
I hate you.
But there's a moment where Rick is testing out the flamethrower, and he goes, "Oh, that's too hot. Is there anything we could do about that heat?" And then the guy's like, "Rick, it's a flamethrower."
It's a flamethrower,
And he's
bro.
all, right, okay. That's an actual like real reaction from Leonardo.
He
And
really said,
he
"Hey,
really
this is
said
too
like,
hot.
"This is too hot. Is there anything we could do about that?" And the guy's like, "No."
It's a flamethrower,
Yeah,
bro."
and
Like-
Quentin thought that was hilarious, so he decided to leave it in the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. Any other?
One that I have is from Maribel when she's comforting Rick from crying. He tells her something and it goes, I think he just says, "Thank you for giving him a hug." He goes, "Thank you, Pumpkin Puss," and she goes, "I don't like names like Pumpkin Puss, but since you're upset, we'll talk about it some other time." And again, it just shows her, character and how like strong she is for an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I loved it.
Gosh, she's so wise for her age. It's funny. One of my quotes is from Cliff, and it's when he's driving Pussycat to the ranch, and she says like, "Hey, you want me to do?
You want me to grapefruit you? While you drive?
You want me to grapefruit? You want me to him going wow wow?" And he straight up goes, "How old are you?" And of course she's like thrown off guard because who would say no to a question like that? You know what I mean?
Who would say no to a grapefruit?
Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we find out she's underage, and he ends up she says like,
She's all, "Wow, that's real uncool of you."
Yeah.
Or something.
Way
Way
to-
to kill the vibe or something.
And he goes on to say, she says, "Oh, I'm not old. I'm not too old to F you." And then he goes, "What I'm too old to do is to go to jail for some poontang." When he said it like that, I was like,
Yeah.
this is exactly the way that this character would have said this.
Yeah.
And I was laughing at it.
Yeah, for sure.
The last one that I got is at the very end, and it's Rick and Cliff when Cliff is going in the ambulance. He goes, "Do you want me to come see you, or come with you? What hospital are you going?" And then that's when he goes, "You got that fine Italian wife of yours? Go sleep with her." And Rick goes, "She just took about 5 sleeping pills. She won't be waking up until the next Columbus Day."
Yeah.
So and tells the paramedics, "So you might need to come back to wake her up." Why are you taking 5 sleeping pills? 1.
That's funny.
And then yeah, that's my last quote.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into some bro moments then.
Quite a bit.
I'll start off with my first bro moment, which was your last quote. And I remember seeing that in theaters, and immediately when she said, like, "Oh, you want me to do this while you drive?" I was like, "What?" Like
He was
that's
caught off guard.
insane. What a thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, after barely meeting someone. Insane.
She had to return a favor.
Yeah, seriously. Any bro moments for you guys?
I have one, and dude, this is gonna sound kind of gross because I know sometimes actually we all eat it, but the dog food that he pours out, dude, it reminds me of the refried beans that are in cans.
It does. It
Yeah.
really does. The way he like
Just
he drops it
wiggles
from
it
like
out.
5 feet up.
Yeah, and it like misses some parts
He
of
lets
it.
it plop in there. I'm like,
Yeah.
It just reminds me of the refried beans that we would eat out of a can.
It reminds me of that meme where the guy sets the can on the burner.
Oh, and it goes- it like
starts going-
rises?
Yeah, it starts rising and it's all.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so unappetizing, but they end up
Yeah.
tasting good.
Yeah.
One of my bro moments is just it's kind of crazy to where, you know, we get the whole setup that Cliff is the driver. And when honestly, I didn't know that the white Cadillac wasn't his car. So it was a bro moment for me whenever he was going home, he was taking the day off, and he gets in that old...
He gets in his beater.
Dude, that car is actually nicer. In my opinion, if it was fixed up, it'd be nicer than the Cadillac.
Yeah, it's sick too. The way
it's nice.
That whole montage
That's
of him
when he's driving
through.
Dude, and he has no cares of the
Yeah.
world. He's just going, wah, wah.
Yeah,
I love how he Tokyo drifted that corner, you know, at the end.
Yeah,
Oh, he does, yeah.
He straight up just goes like
he
that.
swerves that thing and starts booking it.
Almost fishtails it.
But then he gets to his actual living situation, and it's like...
A trailer.
I
It's a
kind of
trailer.
like
on
it,
a,
though.
on a drive-in movie theater lot.
Dude,
and
you can
he's
watch
making-
movies whenever you want.
You know,
Yeah.
he's making mac and cheese, eating it out the freaking pot.
Yeah,
The worst mac and cheese ever, too.
Was it Velveeta?
No, it was Kraft.
Oh,
It was boxed mac and cheese.
Kraft with the sawdust cheese.
Yeah,
He
seriously.
didn't even put any milk or butter.
Yeah, it's just
Just
water.
straight water.
Yeah.
Drains the water.
It's also
and put-
it's relatable though. I'd
Yeah.
said
That's budget food.
you've ever been in that?
Oh,
where you're
no,
just
I
like,
know, but I'm
like, I
saying-
don't want to dirty a plate or a bowl
Yeah.
right now. I'm just gonna
oh, yeah.
I do that when I make oatmeal.
just grab it.
I straight up eat it out the pot with the spoon that I mixed it with. Like I sit there with a big old wooden spoon.
A wooden spoon?
Yeah, yeah,
Less dishes.
yeah. I'm just gonna dirty another spoon in a bowl. Nah, I'm just
No,
gonna eat
just
it like
yeah.
this.
So
I'm gonna wash it later.
It's a very everyman moment where you see that and you're just like, yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
I mean, I'm not lying. Yeah, I've done that before.
But I expected his living situation to be at least a little bit more refined.
Yeah.
Because we get to see the mansion and the beautiful car, a beautiful house, and then to get that juxtaposed with this like kind of rundown,
Yeah,
plopping food all over, you know, dishes, beer, and the
yeah. Tiny little TV.
yeah, it was really a bro moment for me.
yeah. Any other ones?
Throwing Bruce in the car.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that one was a
that's
big one.
okay.
I mean, you guys can disagree. But I put so much feet that I hate it. I literally put so much feet.
Yeah,
You
there
know
are
what?
a lot of feet shots.
There are, and it's got to be not because he's not just like, oh, I like feet this much, I'm gonna put it in there.
Yeah,
He's got to like, no, I gotta appease the audience. They
Yeah.
expect it at this moment.
It's been such a running, meme
Yeah.
with his movies that like, oh, Quentin has a foot fetish, and it's never really ever been confirmed.
It's confirmed now. I
But
feel.
Well-
you know for sure with this movie that he is just acknowledging the meme and is like, oh, you thought my
This is
previous
Margot
movies were bad.
Robbie.
Guess what? I'm gonna put even.
You
more.
saw Margot Robbie, and I bet a lot of people were like,
and they're dirty. They were dirty. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
That's a foot fetish thing.
You like them dirty?
Yeah, but believe it or not,
They like them
you-
seasoned.
yeah.
Seasoned.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want no nasty white chicken.
No
they want some
no
salt and pepper on that. Too much pepper.
That's too much pepper.
Another bro moment I had that I wanted to get your guys' ideas about is the rumor that Brad Pitt, Cliff, killed his wife.
Yeah.
Now,
It's true.
Is it true? Because they never confirm it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it is.
I believe it's. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe it's like an accident, and I think that is actually based on a true story.
Well, I heard something. So don't, you know.
I don't want to be quoted on.
Yeah,
it.
don't quote me on anything.
But-
Take it with a grain of salt. But I heard something about Christopher Walken.
Yes.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, Christopher Walken was on trial for the accidental death of somebody, I
And he
forget.
got away with it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I believe that it's taken from real life, but I don't know. I almost want to feel like it's an accident, but I think it's just because I like Cliff.
Yeah.
But there's the chance that Cliff could be a piece of trash, and it was just like, I'm tired of this woman. And also, it's so funny. Why does he put the goggles on to drink a beer?
He
Like he
does.
puts them on and then cracks the beer, and it gets all over the glasses, and he's all drinking a beer, and he's all looking at her. It's funny.
I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, is it? I don't know. I wanted your guys' perspective on
I
it.
think it is.
Okay. Interesting. What do you guys have anything else?
Trying the dog food?
Oh, throwing the dog food at her.
No, trying it.
Oh, trying the dog
Licking
food. Yeah, straight up licking it. Yeah.
Yeah. My last one is when the Manson family get there and the lady's like, I forgot my knife in the car. And he
Oh,
straight
yeah.
up goes, well, you're going to need the keys to get back in the
Which-
car.
That's true to life as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there was a woman. That's how police found out about it because she went and told.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, that's true to life. There was supposed to be 4 people that were going to partake in the murder.
Did she get charged?
One of them got scared. No, she got scared and got cold feet and then drove off and went and told police.
Wow. Yeah, it was a bro moment for me when you heard the car screech off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, she was scared.
Yeah, which is insane too because she's like, "Oh wait, I forgot my knife in the car. I gotta go run back and get it." And Tex is all, "Well, wait, I locked the car, so you got to unlock it. Here's the keys." And she's all, "Oh, right,
Thank you.
thanks." And then gets in the car, just boom, takes
I was
off.
like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my last one, though.
Okay. Any others?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right. Well, if that's it for the bro moments, let's get into some facts.
Yeah, let me hit you with the budget. And I wish I was awed by it because I feel like this movie was phenomenal. I wish it made more. And you guys might think it's a lot, but I just don't think it's a lot for Quentin Tarantino. So it took him $90 million to make this movie. Opening weekend, it made 41.0, so $41 million. Gross for U.S. and Canada made $142.5 million. And then gross worldwide made $374.5 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That's a
Don't
hit.
get me wrong.
That's insane.
Don't get me wrong. But I feel like Quentin Tarantino has that name where he can produce so much more.
A certified hit, man.
Yeah. I think,
Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah, and I think something, cause I don't know, like, I think Django did really well as well, if I'm not mistaken, but,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where people, talk and they're like, "Oh, this movie has no plot. Oh, it made no sense. Why did I watch it? It's a waste of time." Where it can kind of get to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. And maybe even the runtime.
But still, yeah, and, it's a long movie.
It is.
It's a lot to
Just-
ask for somebody to sit for two and almost more than a half hours.
Yeah.
To sit there and just watch this thing.
Django was more to make this movie.
Really?
Django was $100 million, and then worldwide it only made $426.
Okay, this is
Certified hit
yeah,
still, though.
It's still a hit.
more.
That's a
Still-
fantastic movie, too.
Yeah.
But
But nonetheless, I mean, he still made bank.
he made
They
they made bank.
Insane.
Not only bank, but he got acknowledged for it, too, right?
Yeah, he got tons of Oscar nominations for this. I believe a Best Picture nomination.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Best Actor nomination. But they won Best Supporting Actor for Brad Pitt, which I believe was his first Oscar.
After all the roles he's done?
I'm
Really?
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was his first.
Gosh.
And then it also won Best Production Design,
Yeah. And,
which I feel like is perfect. And
it's pretty much a given at that point.
Yeah, something that I have actually in regards to the production of the movie. The producers had some initial difficulty convincing Hollywood Boulevard vendors to allow their premises to be fitted with period facades to better reflect the 60s. However, after the production had wrapped, that section of the shoot, in regards to getting all of Hollywood Boulevard done up, most of the people asked if they could leave the facade in place. So, because they liked the way that it looked more in the 60s than it did present day.
What?
So a lot of the buildings that got done up and revamped to look like they were in the 60s stay that way.
Oh.
Yeah, because they liked the way that it looked and they asked the producers to keep it instead of taking it away.
What?
Yeah.
And at first they were like, "Nah, we don't want it. We don't want it."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, we want it. Keep it. Keep
Yeah.
it."
Yeah.
That's funny. I'll say some about Sharon Tate. So Margot Robbie is Sharon Tate, and she actually wears some of Tate's real jewelry provided by Tate's sister, Deborah Tate, which I thought was interesting. And also, when it comes to having a little bit of more authenticity with Sharon Tate, when Sharon goes to the movie, like in the movie, when Margot Robbie goes to watch Sharon Tate's movie called The Wrecking Crew, the filmmakers chose to use the actual film rather than creating the scenes with Robbie. So you can actually see Sharon Tate on screen.
On screen, playing her role in The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, and it was super interesting for me after getting more context to all that went down. Because whenever I was seeing it, I was like, where? What? Like I was like, which one's Margot Robbie? I can't tell.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot more sense to and it's given her, more of her due diligence, more of her shine.
Yeah. What was one thing too I really appreciated about her watching her movie? I thought it was really cute.
It was.
Like
when she was like
seeing her get excited about the audience
and then
getting excited and reenacting her
Recreating,
film
yeah.
and all that stuff is very cute.
Yeah.
I also was crazy was Alexa, is big crime junkie, and when we were rewatching this again, she was like, "Man, it's kind of insane to me, like how well they cast Sharon Tate because Margot Robbie looks insanely like her. Like they have some different like eye shapes, but other than that, they look pretty similar."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I looked up a side by side photo, and I was like, "It's
Yeah.
insane. It's pretty wild." Actually, in regards to Sharon Tate's sister Deborah, she was originally skeptical of this project, and she had thought that, or let me rephrase this. So, Deborah Tate, who is Sharon Tate's sister, was originally skeptical of this film, and she had gave the film and Margot Robbie's portrayal of Sharon Tate her blessing after Deborah was embraced by Quentin Tarantino himself, and she became aware of how her sister would be represented in the film.
Mm.
She was afraid that that her sister was going to be taken advantage of, or that her murder was going to be shown on screen and like her
Yeah.
name would be tainted. But Deborah referred to Margot as a dedicated craftsman after she had watched the film, and then praised her research of Sharon prior to meeting with her, and then her performance even afterwards, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I could see how someone would be like, "Whoa, hold on, this is a pretty touchy topic.
Yeah,
I don't want
I
to."
don't know if I want to see that on screen.
Yeah, I
you
could.
know?
Yeah, that would suck. Man.
One thing that I did have that I actually appreciate is so Quentin Tarantino told the crew that he wanted the Spawn movie ranch sequence to feel like the early scenes in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Definitely.
Wow, really?
previous movies that we've done, and particularly in the sound design and production design. And when I watched that scene again and read this, I was like, okay, I can actually see
The influence, or
the influence
something.
and some of the resemblance, like just in like the way they walked and the way they filmed it. I
Yeah.
was like, this is really cool. So I give props to Quentin for that.
Production design, man.
Yeah, it's insane too because when you think about production design and set design and where movies actually shot, there's so much work that goes into something like that. Like, think about all of the trash and dishes and dirt and all that stuff that's in that house. That's all
Placed.
there by design. It's not there like they stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
They had to go get all this nasty stuff and put it there and make it look gross. That's one thing where I'm kind of like, man, that's insane to have the mind and the vision to be like, okay, this is probably what this looks like. It's nasty, it's dirty, food, rats, and
Rat stuck
Dusty.
on a stick paper.
yeah, going.
I think I hate to say it, rats are pests. Rats are pests.
They
I don't
are,
care.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
are.
I laughed because I just think about one time I caught one and just it's so funny.
Yeah. One thing actually about the writing of this film, Quentin Tarantino said that he worked on the screenplay for this for 5 years.
5 years.
5?
When did Django come out? Because that was the one before this one, right?
Yeah. No. Hateful Eight was.
Yeah.
I believe.
So when did Hateful Eight come out?
I forget. I want to say maybe
2015.
I was gonna say like 2016, maybe.
So yeah, he probably started writing it right when he finished
Immediately
writing
after.
That's
this one.
yeah. He had a lot of time to really hone.
Yeah.
Hone
So
the
if we're
dialogue.
correct, if it's 5 years, because he did, Django came out in 2012.
Yeah. Which
So-
is insane.
He might be coming with a new one.
Nah, we
Give him 2
were
years.
we were wrong about the Before trilogy.
Nuh-uh, we
Yeah.
still
You
have
were
we still
wrong.
have until December. We
Really?
still have until December. Yeah, 2022.
Oh yeah. I think we're wrong.
Yeah. I don't think they'll make a fourth. It'll
Come
be
on,
nice,
Ethan
though.
Hawke.
But another one here, actually, in regards to the world building in this film. In one scene, a framed issue of Mad Magazine, which is dated October 1965, is visible in Rick Dalton's house, with a drawing of himself on the cover. As a tie-in with the movie, the October 2019 issue of Mad Magazine was billed as a special Tarantino time warp issue, with a 1960s style contents page and the first 12 pages in black and white being a parody of Bounty Law and Rick Dalton on the front cover, which is shown in the movie. So Mad Magazine actually went through and did a whole issue when the movie was coming out
That's
to
so cool.
to really like tie in like what was shown in the movie. So there's people out there with actual copies of that Mad magazine that was shown in film on the film.
It's probably worth something now.
Yeah,
I would assume.
I want it. That would be so sick.
It would
to
be
have,
sick.
dude.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I have one fact here about the casting of Cliff Booth. Tom Cruise was in talks originally for playing the role of Cliff Booth, but he had to turn it down because he was having some shooting schedule conflicts with Mission Impossible Fallout. Now,
That's
how would
interesting.
you feel about Tom
I don't
Cruise?
know. I feel like Brad Pitt is perfect.
He is.
I-
Tom Cruise.
I know Tom Cruise would be great
I
too,
think he
but
could kill it.
but I honestly feel like Tarantino struck gold with Leo and Brad Pitt's chemistry
True.
and the way that they are on screen with one another.
Yeah.
I had actually even read something too that they enjoyed their time with each other making this film so much that they agreed that they want to do another film together.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah.
That means they have. I mean, that's just they click together. That means they're good.
Yeah, it's funny too. That saying that reminds me. There's a picture of Brad Pitt showing Leonardo something on his phone, and they're all like this, like looking at something, and you see them just on each other's shoulder, like watching something on their phone together. It's funny.
So I looked up that Mad magazine real quick, and if you want to purchase it, it is on Amazon, but it's $45 just for one copy.
Bro, it's insane.
Yeah. I figured.
For a magazine.
I actually figured it'd be more, but I guess it's not as limited as I
45.
was thinking.
So the last one that I have is Brad Pitt ad-libbed the line, "You're Rick effing Dalton. Don't forget that." So Brad Pitt based that on the line of an actor who told him the same thing when he was a budding actor in the early 90s.
It's so wholesome too.
Yeah,
Because it's like a really like genuine friend moment because he
Yeah.
knows that he's kind of down on his luck and he just gives him that one little thing he needed to hear.
Yeah.
That perfect quote. He said, "You're Rick F. and Dalton. Don't forget that.
yeah.
Like you still got it. You
Yeah.
got it." And I was just like,
Love
it was
it.
nice. I love it. But that's it for me, facts wise.
Same here.
I forgot this also received a 7-minute standing ovation at the con premiere.
That's awesome.
People got time, man.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
stand.
Just stand there and just going. I would, dude. I couldn't. Like as much as I love the movie,
I'd feel a little
if
awkward.
I'm standing there, I'd be like, all right, when are we sitting down?
Yeah.
All right, I'm sitting down. I'm done. Like I can't stand for that long.
7. Well, I could. I don't know
I
how
could
long.
stand
I
for
could
that
stand.
long?
Stand there and clap.
I
for
can't
that
clap
long?
for that long.
That's
That's a long time.
a long time.
I don't know.
Let's try it right
Yeah.
now.
I was about to
No.
say we should end it 7 minutes of just us looking. How many people would stay and wait?
We'd see the views just drop
Yeah,
off at
it's
the
like-
end. Yeah.
See ya.
All right. Well, if that's it for the facts, let's get into what didn't work.
Okay.
I have two things that didn't work.
I
for this
wrote
movie.
down 2 things. So just for me, there was some parts of this movie that were kind of slow.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that comes with just the runtime.
yeah. So I think there were some parts that they could have cut out, and one of the specifics part, and you said it was cute, but I disagree, was when they showed Margot Robbie watching the movie. I don't think that was really necessary. I also don't think it was necessary to show that she picked up a hitchhiker.
Mm. So that's where the movie gets a bit slow for me too, and I think that's an error of Sharon Tate's character being underwritten.
Underwritten. She really is like.
She's nothing,
yeah.
essentially nothing until the end.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where I my gripe about this movie is I wish that there was more of her, or she's supposed to be such a pivotal part of the movie, and it really feels like at this point she's kind of just a plot device.
Yeah.
And she gets some
Yeah.
screen time, and that's it. you
Yeah.
know?
Because if you know the story, you know what happens to her at the very end. So it's like, oh, I see her there. I know her end, and it's only to just subvert that at the end, and that's all she's used for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of her scenes are kind of just like, yeah, they're cute, but
Yeah.
like, it's already 2 hours 40 minutes. Like, do we really need this?
Yeah.
Could we shave it? That was one of the things I did. I also had written that this movie is way more enjoyable and effective if you know the history, and I think that it has no interest in like giving you context at all.
Yeah.
Because I sat there and I had no idea about the Mansons, about what was happening, about anything, and I was like, what is happening? Like I was really confused a lot of the times at the end. because I was like, well, I don't get like what these people are here for, and are they coming back to kill Cliff because of what he did to the Clam at the ranch? But I was like, no, he's not there. They're here before that. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And it was really interesting because the movie had given me it had shown me no interest in setting up anything. So it's like you really have to have
The
knowledge. You really have to have that before you get in here. And that just led to Sharon Tate's character being very lackluster for me, and kind of feeling like she had no significance to the plot at all.
Yeah.
So I was a little confused by that. And then the runtime did get to me a little bit. I also didn't really like the narration, some of the exposition.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. I didn't really like that. That kind of really got me disengaged with the movie. I don't know why. And it was really unfortunate because it kind of undercut a lot of the tension and action because it's right before the action. And I was so disengaged with the movie and then the action, and I was like, they could, like, if I was engaged the entire time, I would have been like, this ending hit so hard.
Yeah.
And it still did. I will say the ending was great, but the beforehand was kind of like,
It's lead up.
it was a little snooze fest for me.
Yeah. The whole, Sharon and her friends went to this movie, went to this Mexican restaurant that's very
10:40.
popular at 10:40.
Yeah.
And then, the only other thing that doesn't work for me is Sadie's overacting.
Yeah.
And she's just going, like the whole time. I remember watching it the first time and just being like, would you scream this much if you're, about to die? Like, I don't think, maybe I get you're in pain, you got your nose almost ripped off, but like, it's like excessive. It feels like
it definitely is.
especially for her to be jumping around the pool going, and then getting set on fire. But maybe, I don't know, maybe he does that
On purpose?
on purpose. So like whenever she finally dies, we're like, dude, yes.
Like, just be quiet already. Like, I'm glad you're dead.
Find peace and quiet.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the
Yeah.
effect he was trying to
But
get.
that's one thing I do find myself at the end, whenever that whole sequence is happening, I'm just like, oh, dude, shut up. I want you to be quiet. Stop screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I wrote, and it's not for me, but it's something that I noticed that maybe some people will notice, or will say, is that I know some people would say this movie is not good.
Mm.
Which I don't know how you can.
It's weird because I was looking at the IMDb scores,
And that's why
it's very polarizing. Like,
Yeah.
people are like, either this movie sucks, it has no point, like I
Or
don't know
this is
why I
the greatest
watched it,
movie
or
ever.
this is Quentin's greatest movie.
Yeah, and
it's
that's what I'm saying.
awesome.
And I wrote that down after I watched it because I was like, I enjoyed it, but I know there's certain people that I would tell this movie to watch and they'd be like, dude, this movie sucks. Why are you showing me this movie?
Yeah, you really got to
Yeah.
set your expectations because it's not going to be action, plot driven. It's
No,
more
not
of
at all.
like just some guys kind of going through life and hanging
Yep.
and just talking.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It's
that's
showing you what it's showing there. It's essentially a third person blog.
Yeah.
yeah. And I can see how that could, take some people out of it.
Yeah,
There's-
and it didn't take me out of it, but I wrote it down because I know that's something that would take out of this movie and be like, dude, this movie sucked.
Mm.
yeah.
but- No, it didn't.
No.
That's
Not
it for me.
Not for me, is it?
Okay.
Not me. Who's that?
If that's it for what didn't work, what did work for this movie?
Almost everything. The first thing that I will say is I love the set design.
Yeah.
I love the whole this universe.
Yeah.
And I usually don't talk about stuff like that because that's just not me. And I kind of want to like relive that time now.
Yeah.
Seeing it, the cars, the fashion, everything was cheaper, the gas, let's see. No, I'm joking. But really the set design was really cool. Probably one of my favorite set designs that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I really enjoy the establishing shots of like all the neon and buildings and like the old Taco Bell.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
the
I saw that and I was like, whoa, that's old school.
Yeah, the Cinerama that's shown and just 60s Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's so sick. I love it. I also have to say, dude, this movie is the cinematography in this is
Beautiful.
gorgeous.
I specifically love the car riding scenes.
Yeah.
I love where the camera is positioned and
Yeah.
how frenetic it all feels.
Yeah, it's like those shots where it's on the back,
Yeah.
like mounted on the back, and we just see the back of our characters' heads.
It's so cool.
Yeah, love it. I also have to say the writing in this movie is awesome.
Impeccable.
It's, you can always expect greatness when it comes
Yeah.
to the writing with Quentin,
Mm-hmm.
and I just every film that he's made is just remarkable in that field, and I think it really, really shines here.
Oh, for sure. I think one of the greatest things about this movie is that he used these mega ultra popular A-list cast.
Yeah,
I don't think this movie would be anything if it was people we don't know.
no,
And usually, whenever I see like high dollar cast, it's really hard for me to get engaged with their character because I'm like, but that's Leo. I know that's Leo.
Yeah.
I know that's Brad Pitt. But for what this movie was trying to go for, I think it really hit home, and you really got to see the acting chops come out of these guys, and they really got to embody that role, those roles that they were in, the Rick Dalton and the Cliff. I think they really melted into those roles, and I think, if they had used people that are lesser known, I don't think this film would have had that impact.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I also have to say it's something that didn't work for you, but I do like the narrator cutting in every
really?
now and then. I love it in the beginning whenever it's exposing Rick, but then I do like towards the end. I mean, sometimes it can be used very cheesy, and it's used as like that feels lazy, But I don't know. For me, because it's only used twice in the film, I appreciate it because it sort of brings you up to speed. It shows that it's 6 months later.
Yeah.
And I like getting this whole sequence of Rick getting fat and doing the Italian movies.
And getting those
And-
long chops.
Yeah. And like being the writer or the narrator explaining that and then being like, his time in Italy allowed him to gain like 15 pounds and all this stuff. But he also made a lot of money with these Italian spaghetti westerns that he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did Operazione Dynamite, and like all
was laughing.
these movies, and shows the posters and
Yeah.
certain shots from the film, and it sort of did the same thing that the beginning did for me. Whenever Marv is talking about all the movies that Rick Dalton was in previously, and then getting to see all of his new work and the posters and seeing his new wife and all that stuff and everything. It's something that did work for me personally.
Okay. Yeah.
But what else worked for you guys?
For me, I could rewatch this movie quite often.
Me too.
I think this is a movie that I feel like you can watch and then not watch at the same time and just be like, oh, okay, like, and even just conversate with someone. If you bring it up to someone who is a movie person, you could easily just say like, dude, do you remember this part? Or do you remember this part? I found myself talking to my manager on Saturday, excuse me, and I was like, hey, have you ever watched this movie? And he was like, yeah. And because I usually tell him what movie we're doing for the week, and he was like, dude, do you remember this part? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, do you remember this part though? And he was like, I totally forgot about that. Like, so that's one thing that I really liked about this movie. This movie is really talkable and rewatchable.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are specific scenes that I will continue to return to. I really think that the first half of this movie is just very engaging.
Yeah.
I love how he's able to build the universe and the shows within the universe and have them just as fleshed out as the movie we're watching.
Yeah.
Like the whole Lancer shot was so engaging. I loved every second of it because we get to see some of that production design background underneath the layer of the actual show. We get to see all that, and we get to see, Rick become the actor that he was in his prime.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I think I'd even heard before. I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that Quentin even went as far as to write 8 or 9 episodes of Bounty Law before starting the actual script for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So that way, he got a full understanding of who Rick Dalton was.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. So he went as far as to write episodes for a fake TV show.
That's so cool.
Yeah, just circling back to world design, it's funny that it takes place in L.A., but for some reason, man, all of the signs, all of the artwork, all of the everything, I was like, No, that's not in L.A. That's in the Quentin Tarantino universe.
Yeah.
Like that's not even L.A. anymore. This is like his rendition of L.A. Everything
Yeah.
that's like, because there was so much advertisements on the wall that seemed so like specific
Real.
to that universe. You know, every time they got into a car, there's radio stations playing. Like
Yeah.
it just felt so very fleshed out and alive
Yeah.
in a way that not a lot of people get and achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really enjoy that aspect of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for what did work for you guys? I have to say the soundtrack and music choices in this are fire. And I think that that's the case for about every Tarantino movie.
I didn't really pay attention to it, to be honest. Like I
think,
heard it.
I think about the song that's playing at the end whenever Cliff is going in on those hippies. Like, it shouldn't fit, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a rendition of California Dreamin' whenever they're driving home from set, and there's Sharon's driving home, and it's showing all the nighttime buildings and neon lighting up and stuff and everything. And there's a rendition of California Dreamin' that plays in the background that's great. The Paul Revere songs that are used while Sharon's dancing around doing laundry and stuff. Like, the soundtrack's awesome, and I think that that's the case for about every Tarantino movie as well. But, anything else for what didn't work, or what did work? Excuse me.
No, I've said what I got to say.
All right, then who wins the movie?
I put Brad Pitt.
Okay.
I put Brandy and Brad Pitt.
Okay, I had put Leo or Brad. I feel like they're inseparable in this movie. I watch it for both of them. Like, maybe more Brad than Leo, but they have this chemistry in the movie where I'm just like, man, they feel like best friends, and they kill it for me. So
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I don't know. Margot Robbie's feet kind of sold it for me too.
Her feet.
yeah, Margaret Qualley's dirty yellow feet, her sweaty nasty feet on the windshield kill it for me too.
It's gotta be stinky, bro.
No wonder they had the windows down.
Yeah, for real. What are some themes for this?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't write anything because I just couldn't think of one.
Okay.
I put knowing your worth / believing in yourself.
Okay. I had written down this movie being a love letter to the golden era of Hollywood.
Yeah, for sure.
And just this, this being a project for Quentin to really gush about cinema and, go back to, his roots about him growing up and being introduced to TV and movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay.
What are we rating this?
Yeah. So yeah. See,
You want me to go first?
I'm getting the taste of my own medicine.
No, I'm giving you the look.
I could go. I mean, okay, with all the context of me not, knowing all of that stuff right away, I'm gonna give this one just a solid 8.
Okay.
I enjoyed a majority of it. There was some I think it could have worked on, but yeah, an 8 for me I think is more than enough for my boy Quentin.
All right.
I'm giving it a 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
I give it a 9.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it does work for me here. It's definitely not his best movie by far for me, but there's definitely a lot that does work for me, and there's something that always makes me want to come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love it. I'll appreciate it, and more than likely when my kids get older, I'm gonna be like, yo,
Watch this movie.
we gotta watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You gotta sit down with me and watch it. So, yeah, I think that's a great score.
Yeah.
8 as well. 8.
Yeah.
I feel like that's well deserved.
For sure. Yeah.
So, all right, that's it for the podcast, you guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. We do appreciate it. If you stuck all the way to the end, make sure that you leave us the likes, the subscribes, the comments, and hitting the bell notification, all that stuff on YouTube. If you're listening to us on audio on the podcast apps, whether that be with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all that stuff, make sure that you're rating and reviewing the show. It really does help us out as far as engagement goes and as far as reach.
Mm-hmm.
We really do appreciate the love that we've been getting on the podcast, as well as all the listens and everything. And we're trying to grow this thing. So if you guys can help us do so, share the episodes with somebody, someone that that loves movies, or a friend. It really does help out whenever we get that engagement, and it helps not only with our growth but with the algorithm. It pushes stuff that people see, a lot of people that it sees people interacting with and all that stuff. So, commenting, doing all that stuff, while it may seem menial, does help. So do that stuff for us. It really does help out. If you want to get in contact with us, every episode has the methods of contact that we have in every description. So if you go into our description, you'll see, how you can get in contact with us through Instagram, Letterboxd, our emails, all that stuff. Use that to, write to us personally. Tell us what you like we're doing. Tell us what you don't like that we're doing. Recommend some movies to us. How we can make the show better, whatever it is. Those are open platforms of communication for you guys to tell us what you guys think. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. As always, we're going to go ahead and close out with next week's pick, which I believe is Nick's pick, right?
It is, yeah. So, what's coming up? We got something coming up here.
I think it's Father's Day, right?
You're a little late for that. It is.
It's Macy's semi-annual sale.
Oh, I was about to say.
It's the
National Hot Dog Day.
National Hot Dog Day. It's the
all this is inconsequential. I'm not doing it. Say like some random we're doing Teletubbies.
What's the one that they do? It's the Freedom Buy Your Car Week.
Oh gosh.
From Selma Honda Center. Buy your car now, $0 down.
That's what I was looking for. Independent. 4th of July. 4th of July. So I thought it'd be fitting to do a war movie, the one that I don't think I've seen.
Okay.
I know we've done Full Metal Jacket, which was incredible, but now we're going to be diving into a 1998 Steven Spielberg Saving Private Ryan.
Never seen it.
I've watched this, I think, once. So it's in dire need of a rewatch for me. And from what I remember watching, I remember really liking it. And I remember looking up a bit of facts about the movie afterward. And a lot of people who took place in D-Day and the storming of Normandy say that this was it felt very real. Yeah. And it felt very real to life to them, to their experience. And to see it on screen was kind of jarring. And I'm excited to see what you guys think about it. I remember watching it once, and I have yet to come back to it. So
yeah, Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, Vin Diesel.
Is it streaming anywhere?
It is, yeah. So it's on Netflix. It's probably on there for a while. So that's where I'm going to watch it. That's where you guys can watch it.
Okay.
And then come back next week and hear what we have to say about it.
All right.
Sounds good.
So go check out Saving Private Ryan. And I almost wanted to say Saving Private Privates.
You should have.
Go check out Saving Private Ryan and tune in back with us next week, so that way you can hear what we have to say about that.
Yeah.
As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you guys, and good night.
Night.
Good night.